What's up YouTube? KS Gun Guy here. Thanks for joining me as always. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and there's plenty more content on the way. So what you've got in front of you is a Canik box. Now, I'm not rehashing old stuff. I know I've done this before, and you may have seen my TP9SF Elite videos, the unboxing and the first evaluation of shooting with this, and I know that some have had some issues with this, I think, with the first run of the Elite, but so far it's been a great gun. I really like it quite a bit, and mine is functioning just fine. Maybe I got lucky, who knows, but hopefully Canik is working to really make these a more consistent gun, more reliable, but I know they're becoming more popular, at least the Elite is, so that's good to see. But Canik has upped their game just a little bit, and they've put out another edition. I guess I shouldn't call it the Elite, but another edition that's very similar to the Elite, and that's the TP9SFX. So this is not really an unboxing, and the only reason that I have the whole box and the gun in the box here this time is because this gun's a little different, and it comes with a couple of extra things that make it a little bit unique. So I'm going to go ahead and get the gun out of the way. We'll talk about it here in just a moment, but of course you get the same things that you would get with the standard Canik in it, as far as the holster and the cleaning utensils and your mag loader, that sort of thing, an extra back strap, which is fine. However, the gun is geared more for competition shooters, and because of that, they have gone ahead and they've done a little bit of extra work with it. They've milled out the slide for an RMR. So it comes with 4 back plates for a variety of different red dot sights, various sorts, whether it's Trijicons or Leopolds or Burris, Vortex, things like that. And then it also comes with a little box of tools and a couple of other accessories as well. So I'm going to leave that out. I'm going to leave one of these guys out, and then I'm going to get the rest of this stuff out of the way. Of course, it does come with an extra magazine. I'll talk about that in just a moment as well. I've really unboxed this already, so again, not an unboxing video so much. Just to make sure it is clear, I do have an empty magazine in it. I do prefer that on these videos. But let's talk about the gun a little bit. Again, this is the Canik TP9SFX, geared for competition. So let's go ahead and get a couple of specs out of the way here real quick if you're wondering. The overall length of the gun is 8.27 inches. The height is 6.2 inches. The width is 1.37 inches. The barrel is 5.2 inches, and it is a match grade barrel. The weight on it unloaded is 29.28 ounces, so just under 30 ounces for the gun. The finish, once again, is the tungsten finish, just like the Elite. I really like that finish quite a bit. I think it's a unique look to it. It does come with 2 20-round magazines, so it does have an extension on it. I think that's pretty popular for competitive shooters. Plus, you can yank this out if you have to, if you have some sort of malfunction in there that you need to clear the magazine out of, which is good. I don't know how robust this is as far as falling on the ground, falling on concrete, depending on what type of competitions you do if you decide to go with this gun. But I imagine it's reasonably robust. Now, they say that the trigger on this is between 3.5 and 4 pounds. I will say I like the trigger quite a bit, and I've said that with the Elite as well. I like the trigger. Now, one bummer about this, they did not put the red safety lever or dingus in it, which is too bad. The Elite has that, and I thought that gave it a little bit extra of a custom look. So I would have liked to have seen some sort of color in here. I know it's just vanity, but I think it's kind of a cool look. So let's talk a little bit about the exterior features of the gun, because it does have a couple of unique features to it. Now, of course, it does have an accessory rail for lights, lasers, grenade launchers, things like that. But overall, the ergonomics of the firearm, I think, are fine. They're not the best on the market. They're not PPQ or VP9 worthy necessarily. Of course, you may not like those grips. I definitely do. But it's still a good quality grip, and I like that it does have texture not only on the back strap but also on the front of the grip as well. And it does have texture on the side. They're kind of like little bumps or little squiggly sort of things, and it's reasonably good grip. I also like that there's a little bit of texture texture along the frame as well. So if you decide you want to ride like maybe your thumb up on the frame, it is textured there. Now it's not on the other side. It actually says made in Turkey on the other side, and I'm not getting into that argument about the whole Turkish thing. We'll leave that alone. It's a gun. But it does have the textures on the frame, so that's nice. It's a nice little upgrade. Now, it also does have an extended mag release on it, and one of the reasons why I left this little box out, and I'll go ahead and open up this box for you. It has, it's kind of a cheap little box, but it still holds all this gear. A couple of extra fiber optic rods and a couple of locking nuts in there, which is nice, or I guess locking washers, I suppose I should say. But it does have a couple of different types of mag releases. It's got a large, a small, and then a medium that's on the gun, and then you can take all of them off, and it's very low, but it'll still function without any of these add-ons on it. And it does come with an extra screw for that as well. It does come with a punch. It's not much of a punch, but in a pinch, that punch will work, and that'll get your backstrap out if you do want to change that to the larger backstrap. It does come with an Allen wrench, so you can work on actually the removable plate, which I'll show you here in just a moment. And then this little guy right here, actually it's kind of unique, and I'll be doing some follow-up videos on this, and I'll explain more about this here in a little bit. But when you put the plate on the gun, you can actually put this in it as well. A little bit of fuzz there. And this actually can be a racking assist for you, which is a unique feature of the gun. I kind of like that. Now, I don't know how stable this is going to be. I imagine if you lock this down pretty good as far as the plate goes, it'll work well. But again, a unique feature. So when you're racking, if you're competing, you do have that as an option. And these holes are on both sides of the plate, and it is on all four plates. So it's kind of nice. Another thing about this plate real quick, it actually does line up with the rest of the slide serrations, so it's a nice clean look. I do like that. Now it's square versus the slope of the rest of the frame. However, if you're putting a red dot on it, it's going to match up with that red dot. So again, it's nice looking. So about this plate right here, again, it's a removable plate, just a couple of screws that keep it in. These also have the locking washers on them as well. It's nice that they did give you a couple of extras in case you lose one. The one thing that, depending on how you look at this, I view it a little bit as a bummer. You do lose the back sight with this, so your option to co-witness is taken away when you remove this plate and you put on one of those back plates for a red dot. However, I know a lot of competitors, they're not trying to co-witness. They're really just trying to use that red dot. So your mileage may vary on what you prefer there. This, for me, would really just be either a range gun or a competition gun. So it's not that big of a deal that I lose it. But again, you are losing the ability to co-witness there. So just something to think about. Now, the sights that come on this are exactly the same as the Elite. These are going to be kind of a Novak-style sight, sort of. There's a little bit of material that's taken away there, and there's a little bit of a ledge, but not a lot. I don't know who'd be carrying this gun and who'd be doing one-handed manipulations with it, but that really isn't an option on this. Now, it does have a front fiber optic sight. Let's try and line this up for you here just a little bit so you can see it, if I can do that. All right, so there's your sight picture there, that front fiber optic. It's okay. It's not necessarily my favorite set of sights here, and that fiber optic is not terribly bright. But again, it's reasonably good quality. They are steel, so out of the box at least you're getting fiber optic steel sights. Now, a couple of other things about the exterior. It does have front slide serrations, so if you do any sort of press checks, that is definitely an option. And it does actually have some milling on the top of the slide here to reduce weight, and I think it actually improves the look of it as well. It kind of gives it a little bit cooler of a look. It's reminiscent to me of the Walther Q5 Match, which I've done a review on. Be sure to check that out. So this would definitely be a direct competitor of that gun, as well as some of the other polymer competition guns like Glock 34s, 35s, 40s, 41s, whatever, and the Smith & Wesson, maybe the Pro Series or the Core Series, that sort of thing. So definitely a direct competitor. As far as the mag release goes, it does have an extended mag release on it. it's a good release, but it's not necessarily great. I find that the protrusion on it to push it, that's not really where you push it or where it works best. You actually push it from the back, so I'm not really necessarily sure why they did this, or maybe I'm doing it wrong. But I haven't gotten that to work quite as well as getting the back to work, and that works very well. So either way, it's positive enough to work, and it worked at the range for me. So. The disassembly of the gun is not quite the same as the Elite. The Elite actually, it kind of pops off the frame. And this one instead, again, making sure that it's unloaded, you would treat it like a Glock. You do have to pull the trigger on it. And then you pull it back just about 1/4 of an inch, and then you slide it off. So it actually slides all the way off rather than popping off. So otherwise, the internals look good. I mean, they're reasonably good quality. The milling is good on this. They've removed some of the material in the back to again reduce weight, and otherwise your features are pretty much the same. Now it does have the tungsten finish all the way through it, and I think that's probably a Cerakote finish. It's a little bit abrasive, so when you're cleaning it, it might give you a couple more moments of cleaning. Let's see if I can put this back together on camera. There we go, and it works. But again, overall, from an external standpoint, I like the gun and I like the features on it. I like the removable backplate for the RMR on it, and so it's a good gun for sure. Now we'll be testing the trigger here in a moment, and for now, however, let's go ahead and look at a little bit of shooting and see how this does. All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that footage at the range. So it's a good shooter. It functions just fine. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and you probably heard me say this before. Typically, when I go to the range and film for guns, I usually have 2 or 3 or 4 with me that I'm trying to film. So it's always a little bit of an adjustment going from one firearm to another, especially if they're pretty wildly different in either their function or their feel. But again, it's a good gun if you spend some time with it. It is certainly accurate, and the trigger on it is absolutely fantastic. And speaking of the trigger, let's go ahead and take a couple of readings with the Lyman Gauge and see how this does. They were saying again 3.5 to 4 pounds. Let's put it to the test. All right, 3 pounds, 7.2 ounces. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm terrible with this thing, but there we go. But we'll give it a couple more tries. All right, 3 pounds, 10.2 ounces. That's reasonably consistent. Might be the most consistent I've been on camera. One more for good measure. All right, 3 pounds, 9 ounces. So it's a good trigger. It really is. And I will tell you, just to put it to the test here a little bit, it's a very smooth trigger as well. So when we have our uptake, there's a little bit of resistance, but not a lot. And I will tell you, it truly is exceptionally smooth. Very smooth. And then you get to your wall, and it's a short snap. I really like that quite a bit. That break is fantastic. And then our reset, very short. It's an excellent trigger all the way around. So we'll go ahead and do this one more time. Very smooth. Up to your wall. And your break. And then your reset. I gotta say, Canik has done a fantastic job with their triggers. They really have, and I said as much with the Elite as well. It's very good quality. So if you're looking for a gun and you're really into triggers, either this or the Elite are excellent. I don't have experience with the other Caniks, but I've heard they've got good triggers as well. These are fantastic. So I did add one thing to the table here, and this is actually a Vortex Venom Red Dot. I actually just acquired this not too long ago, and I'm going to be doing a lot of testing with this. I'm going to be doing some testing not only on the TP9SFX, but I'm actually also going to be doing some testing on my Glock MOS as well. Currently, I've got a Burris Fastfire 3 on it, and I like it okay. But there are a couple of things about the Vortex Venom that I like quite a bit. Now, this is not a review on the Venom or anything like that, but so far I found it to be a very good quality red dot, and I'm excited to share this with you, and also share how this does with a red dot, especially not being able to co-witness. So it'll be my first time doing that. So I'm excited to hear what you guys think about the TP9SFX, and also if you have questions about the Elite, be sure to hit me up on that or check out my other videos on that. But leave a comment on this. I'd love to hear what you think. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you next time.